When the modern world encounters the sea through films like Pirates of the Caribbean, pirates are portrayed as romantic adventurers, ships as symbols of freedom, and cannons as spectacle. But Southeast Asian history records something far darker. In the Strait of Malacca, the greatest pirates were not lawless individuals, but colonial states armed with cannons and flags. And one of their primary victims was Malay maritime sovereignty, symbolized by a vessel known as Lancang Kuning. In Southeast Asian maritime historiography, the Lancang was a large Malay vessel actively used between the 15th and 17th centuries. Historians such as Anthony Reid and Pierre-Yves Mangan confirmed that Lancang vessels functioned as trading and warships. They were operated by the sultanates of Malacca, Johor Riau, and Siak. They sailed international routes connecting the Indian Ocean and the South China Sea. Portuguese records, particularly Tomé Pires, Suma Oriental, described Malay ships as fast, dangerous, and highly effective in narrow waters. This directly contradicts colonial narratives portraying the Malays as maritime inferiors. Lancang Kuning was no ordinary vessel. It represented the peak of pre-industrial Malay maritime engineering. Hull design long, narrow and lightweight, optimized for shallow waters of the Malacca Strait. More stable in tropical seas than large European ships too. Speed and maneuverability. Ideal for hit-and-run naval tactics, extremely difficult for heavier European ships to pursue. Perfect for ambush, escort, and rapid deployment. 3. Armament equipped with Layla and Setbang cannons, Southeast Asian bronze artillery, flexible cannon placement rather than rigid frontal batteries designed for multi-directional close-range combat. 4. Political function. Transported royal envoys, escorted strategic trade goods, served as a floating projection of state authority. This was not a civilian vessel. It was a state ship. In Malay political culture, yellow is the color of sovereignty. It signifies royal authority law, legitimate power. Thus, Lancang Kuning was not merely painted yellow. It was a floating declaration of political legitimacy. Where it sailed, it proclaimed, "This sea is under Malay authority." Before colonial intrusion, Southeast Asian seas were governed by law, controlled by states, regulated by diplomacy. Malay sultanates enforced customs duties, shipping regulations, maritime security. The sea was not an empty frontier. It was a sovereign political space. European colonialism did not arrive with fair trade. It arrived with armed monopoly. Portuguese and VOC archives consistently record ports being burned, local fleets destroyed, unequal treaties enforced through violence. In colonial logic, local ships, military threats, resistance, piracy. This was the great historical manipulation. When Malays defended their seas, they were labeled pirates. This is where Pirates of the Caribbean becomes relevant. The film portrays pirates as enemies of the state. History tells a different story. Many maritime historians define colonial practices as state piracy, plunder legalized by empire, the VOC, seized ships, destroyed indigenous fleets, controlled trade through violence. Jack Sparrow is fiction. The VOC was piracy with paperwork. Colonial archives reveal Malay ships were extremely difficult to defeat in narrow waters. Their tactics defied European naval doctrine. They were fast, adaptive, and efficient. Colonial powers responded by changing strategy, capturing ports, cutting off timber and weapon supplies, destroying systems rather than ships. Lancang Kuning was not defeated at sea. It was systematically neutralized. By the 18th century, European shipbuilding became industrialized heavy artillery-dominated naval warfare. Global trade routes were locked under colonial control. Lancang Kuning was displaced not because it was obsolete, but because it faced a global industrial war machine. The song Lancang Kuning is not a tale of shipwreck. In Malay oral literature, songs function as emotional archives, as concealed political critique, as vessels of collective trauma. Lancang Kuning sails at night symbolizes power under threat, a sea no longer safe, a state moving in darkness. Along Malay coasts, an oral belief persists. Uttering the name Lancang Kuning at sea at night may summon a storm. Academically, this is not historical fact. Anthropologically, it reflects intergenerational trauma, sacralized loss, memory of sovereignty taken by force. The sea in cultural memory has not fully healed. Colonialism did not only seize land, it seized seas, technology, and maritime identity. Lancang Kuning proves that the Malay world once dominated the seas. Technically, strategically, and politically, it did not sink in a storm. It was forced under by a history written by victors, and as long as the song is sung, as long as the sea is remembered, Lancang Kuning has not truly vanished.